Hey guys, Mike Wood. I'm a real estate agent in Reno, Nevada, and I'm going to go through the process of buying a home if you've never bought a home. Just to kind of give you an idea of what to expect if and when you do it. Number one is you got to figure out how you're going to pay for the house. And I know that sounds kind of silly, but we deal with people that are either financing or they're paying cash. If you're paying cash, then the next little bit's not for you. If you're financing and you don't know where to go, my suggestion would be you go to a local lender in the town that you're going to purchase. And that would probably be the conversation I would have first, which is sit down with somebody that can run your credit, that can tell you what your debt to income ratio is, tell you what you can afford or what you can qualify for, and then work out payments based on how much you want to spend every month. Get somebody living in the market that you're going to purchase that knows the real estate agents. And the reason this might become important later on, the agent that has the home that you want to purchase listed for sale, there's a good chance that that lender might know that agent. And sometimes a phone call from your lender to the agent may be the difference between you getting the home and you not getting the home. If you just take these little teeny things that I'll tell you and use what you can or what you want, my hope is that you get some leverage out of it and it makes the opportunity a little bit bigger for you on the purchase side. So number one is getting pre-approved. Once you've got the pre-approval, then I would just speak with a real estate agent. Now, if you've got a real estate agent that maybe was referred to you or somebody you know that you trust, and that's going to be your agent, ask the agent for a referral over to the lender. The same way it can go backwards too. You can know somebody that does mortgages and they get your pre-approval, you've already got your numbers. Chances are they know somebody in town that's a really good agent that they've worked with before that they can refer you to. Get the pre-approval, get the real estate agent. Once you have those two things and you're ready to shop, have the real estate agent set up a search for you on the MLS based, number one, by area. So if you know the neighborhood or part of town you want to live in, have them set up a search that will notify you of every home that comes up so that you can kind of get acquainted with the listings that are coming up, the prices of those listings, so that after a couple weeks, you understand that a 2,000 square foot home with 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and a 2-car garage in that particular neighborhood or area should be listed in a price range, right? You become acquainted with the pricing that's going on in that particular part of town. A couple things that you would do area, you would do it by price, obviously, because you already know what you're pre-approved for and what your maximum is. We don't want to pay over $500,000, whatever that number is, and then any other non-negotiables that you may have in the search. So if you said, hey, definitely have to have a 3-car garage, the primary owner bedroom has to be on the main level, or it has to be a 2-story, it has to have a big yard, whatever it is that you want in your home, have the agent put those into the criteria so that as you're notified, the houses are actually applicable to you and you're not looking at 8,000 square foot homes where you don't want more than 2,500 square feet, because bigger isn't always better. And what I found is large homes take a lot of upkeep and take a lot of cleaning, and I don't like to do cleaning. Take your non-negotiables, take the things that you want, have those placed into a search in the MLS criteria, and have the agent set the MLS up to notify you as soon as the house comes up so that you're acutely aware of the inventory that's available in the neighborhood you want. Along with that, if you've defined the area, you kind of know, maybe you've lived in town for a while or you're new. If you're not extremely familiar with the area, drive the area after hours. Go and drive around, maybe park, see what happens in the evening times, how loud it is. If the neighbors all like to throw parties, you may be into that, so that's totally cool. The other thing I do is I do it on a weekend. So take a Saturday afternoon or Sunday afternoon and go see who's out and about, what's going on in the area. And the reason I say this is I had a client that found a house. We saw it on a Tuesday afternoon. They wanted a very quiet neighborhood, but it turned in to almost like a dirt bike track because they had open field behind them and they had no idea that all of the teenagers in town had motorcycles. So they all went and raced on Saturdays and they had only seen the house on a Tuesday. So when they saw it on Saturday, they said, oh no, this isn't for us. So check it out all different times, all different days, just to see what's going on, what the vibe is of the neighborhood, because if you're out looking, you typically only spend 15 to 30 minutes in a house, and it doesn't give you the feel of the neighborhood. Once you find the one, like the house, there are a couple things that you're going to want to do. You kind of know pricing because you've seen homes come up, you're aware of what's going on. Have the real estate agent that's working for you pull the most recent sales for the area and look at the dollar per square foot. That'll give you a good gauge as to, especially the sold homes. You want to know how much the average home is selling for per square foot. So if it's a 2,000 square foot home and the last two sales have both been 400,000, you get $200 a square foot. And if the home you're looking at is asking $250 a square foot, there'd have to be something amazing. It's either got a shop or a killer backyard. It would have to be different than the other ones to justify the price. Because ultimately, if you're getting a loan, the appraiser is going to come back and the appraiser is going to pay attention to recent sales, and that's how they're going to value your home. And if you're financing, especially if you're doing like an FHA loan at 3.5% down, the value of the home that the appraiser gives is going to become extremely important, because if the appraiser says, hey, I think the house is worth 400 and you've got a contract for 450, we're not going to loan you that extra $50,000. You're going to have to come out of pocket for it, and it can blow a deal. Take historical data, which is exactly what an appraiser is doing, and then apply it to your home just to kind of make sure that you're getting a deal. It's one thing to look at the asking price of a home, but it's really important to see what the comparables, and that's what you're going to hear the word comparable. You're going to hear the word CMA. A CMA is a competitive market analysis or comparable market analysis. And that is, hey, based on the last 3 months of sales, this is what's happened in the area. And here is the subject property, which is the one. So you take the subject property and you compare it to the most recent sales. That's what an appraiser is going to do, and that's how you come up with value. And then you always try to, if you're on the buy side, you always try to get a little bit lower than that, because we all want a deal. So the negotiation part is extremely important. In fact, it's probably the most important part of this whole transaction, is making sure that your contract price and all of your terms align with what it is you want. If you're financing, you could probably go anywhere between 23 days, depending on the lender and how quickly they can close, up to about typically 30 to 45 days. It should give the seller time to pack up and move. It gives your lender time to process the loan. You're going to want to do inspections, and you're going to have an appraisal. Depending on where you are, like California, there are parts of California where termites are a thing, so you'd have a termite inspection. But if you live in an area where termites aren't a thing, maybe you don't get a termite inspection. If you're getting a VA loan, you definitely have to get a termite inspection. Based on where you are, talk to the real estate agent, ask them, what are the typical inspections? What are we looking at? Don't buy a house, and this is simply my opinion, don't buy a house without having it inspected, because the last thing you want is to go through the excitement of buying the house and you finally get it, and then you find out 3 months later that there was an issue that an inspector would have found, but you didn't have it done, and now you're left with somebody else's problem. The timelines, when you close, your due diligence for your inspections, for your appraisal, have to be in there. Make sure that the loan officer has said, yeah, definitely we can get an appraisal done within 2 weeks. That's fine. Give yourself plenty of time to get an inspector out, and your real estate agent should know about how much time they need on the lead, because sometimes the inspectors get really busy and they just can't get to you. And then there are times where there's not a whole lot of transactions going on and they can get you in a day or two. But the last thing you want is for your inspection period to run out and you're not done, right? You haven't done your due diligence. So due diligence, your timelines for moving in, you've got your inspection, your appraisal. After you go through the inspection, if there are things that you would like fixed, things that are deal breakers, bring them back up to the seller, ask them to repair or give you a credit so that you can fix them. A lot of people end up taking money from the seller to fix something, but they never actually get it fixed. Just be aware that when you go to resell the home, the same issue will come up and you're going to have to either pay to get it done, or you're going to have to give the new buyer a credit also. 3 to 4 days before you're closing, make sure that you turn on your utilities, because the last thing you want is to get the keys to the house, celebrate, and then the next morning the power's out because you forgot to turn the power on and the water on. Set up cable, all of those things, so that the move is nice and easy for you. And that's it. That's it. Go enjoy your house. Make sure that you work with local professionals that are reputable. Make sure you have trust with both your loan officer and your real estate agent. You can always switch. If you feel uncomfortable or you don't like the dynamic, nothing is set in stone until the contract's in place. Do some due diligence. Interview a couple of loan officers if you don't know any. Interview a couple of real estate agents. Make sure that you know what you're going to be charged all the way through, and set money aside, not just for your down payment on your loan, but understand that if you're getting a loan, you're going to have to pay prepaids to the seller. So if they paid property tax after the closing date, you're going to have to reimburse them. So the day that you close, you'll be responsible for the cost of maintaining the property and all associated fees. So your closing costs are going to be your down payment. Plus, I use anywhere between 2 and 3% of the sales price as cash that you will need to pay for your closing costs. So keep that in mind. If you're buying a $500,000 house and you're putting, let's say, 20% down, you're probably looking at $10,000 to $15,000 on top of that 20%. The last thing we want is for somebody to be surprised or go, I didn't know I was going to have to come up with that. I've got the down payment, but I don't have the other money. This is where seller concessions come in, and this would be at the beginning of the negotiations where you tell the seller, I'll give you the asking price for your home, but I need you to give me some cash back so that I can cover my closing costs, because closing costs is cash that you're going to put into the deal. And if you can get the seller to pay it, even if you could have gotten a discount on the sale price, but you don't take the discount on the sale price, you have the seller contribute to your closing costs, you get to keep that cash in your pocket, and then you end up financing that $15,000 or so over the life of the loan. So it increases the loan payment $20, $25 a month, but you get to keep the $15,000 in your pocket. And the last thing you want to do is put everything you have into purchasing a home, because if something were to go wrong in a month or two and you had an expense that you weren't expecting, it might be stressful for you on the backside. Make sure that you're fully aware of the cash that you're going to need to go in and get it done. You don't want any surprises. Make sure you have money saved on the side just in case. And the last thing I would tell you is, if you're buying a home that is not brand new, so you're not buying from a builder, you're buying a resale, depending on the age of the home, anything over, I would say 3 to 4 years, you might want to put a home warranty on it also, and that would cover the systems of the home. So if you had a water leak, or you had the HVAC went out, the air conditioner went out, things like that, you could simply pay a service fee of anywhere between $50 and $100, and then that money covers the whole thing for you. And that's what you want. You want that security and peace of mind. If a real estate agent doesn't offer it to you, it should be in the contract. But if they don't offer, just say, hey, just out of curiosity, what home warranty companies do you work with? And can you give me their fees and what they cover? I'll tell you from firsthand, an AC unit's going to cost you about $8,000, and a furnace is probably going to cost you $9,000 to $10,000. They can sneak up on you, and it's nice to have insurance on the bigger ticket items just so that you don't have to come out of pocket. So that's it. It can be short depending on how long it takes you to identify the right one. It can be extremely stressful, especially if we haven't outlined how it's going to flow. So communication between the loan officer, the real estate agent, and you is extremely important. That's what will keep you from waking up in the middle of the night going, oh, are we supposed to do this? Was I supposed to schedule the inspection? All of that stuff. Having clear lines of communication so that everybody's on the same page. You know what's going to happen if the inspector finds something. You know what's going to happen if the appraisal comes in low. All of those things. You game plan it from contract acceptance to the day you get your keys, probably 30 to 45 days. And in that 30 to 45 days, it seems like forever. A lot of things happen. Our job as professionals is to make it as seamless and low stress as possible. But there are still going to be times, no matter what, where you get a little bit stressed out. It's okay. Take deep breaths. Share that frustration with your agent. That way they can do a better job keeping you calm. But at the end of the day, you get a house, you get a place to raise the family, you get a place to live, and you get a place to make memories. And that's what it's all about. So Homeownership 101 is the basis of building wealth in the United States. I'm a firm believer in it. I've seen hundreds of families' lives change, retirements change because they purchased homes, they lived in them for a long time, they enjoyed them. Time goes by, values go up, and they're saving money while making a rent payment to themselves. And that's what it's all about. So I hope this video was helpful for you. If you took some nuggets from it, that's great. If there's something else that I missed or you think should be addressed or you do it differently, comment below. I really appreciate the input, appreciate the support, and hope you have a great day.